Hello, my name is Julian Eaton, and with my partner, Michelle Quintero, we will be discussing how to help your child cope with stress. We represent Partners in Prevention and NJ4S. NJ4S is an organization that supports Hudson County, helping students to achieve enriched academic growth, social and emotional support, evidence-based prevention program, mental health resources, crisis intervention, and community connections. It's a very important organization because it addresses the national youth mental wellness crisis. It fosters healthy development for young learners. It enhances social, emotional, and behavioral growth, expands social connections, and boosts emotional wellness. And I will turn things over to my partner, Michelle Quintero.
Hi everyone, my name is Michelle, and today I'll be addressing childhood stress. So, why it's important? It is important because it is crucial for our children's well-being and long-term development. Therefore, if we're able to prevent something in the long run, why not do it now, Especially when it comes to our children's mental health and just health overall. We always want them to have the best health that they could be at. So by the end of adaptation, you have the tools on how to recognize and manage stress in your child effectively. So you know what to do, how to help them, what you should do to help them better and from your position as a parent, and even take care of yourself, because in order for us to help our children, we have to help ourselves first too. So what is childhood stress? So you might think, stress doesn't exist in our children, but it really does. There's a lot of going on at this age for our children, especially while they're growing up and in the developmental stage, and going through puberty, all these hormonal changes. There's a lot going on their plate on top of school, extracurricular activities like sports, clubs, band, everything. Therefore, they get exhausted and stressed due to emotional, psychological, and physiological stressors. So some of those common stresses are school, peer pressure, family issues, academic pressure, and social challenges. And you might ask and wonder why family issues. So at this age, children are like sponges. Whatever they see around them, they'll suck it up. So if they constantly see that, a mom, dad, or guardian is constantly stressed about this and that, money, work, and all this, the children's going to see that too. And what they're going to learn is that to be stressed out. So in order for us to help our children is by beginning to think about how we show our stress and how we cope with it for our children to see too.
I love that children are like sponges. I think that's the perfect comment for this slide and for helping understand why that they're going to be stressed out by their environments and that the parents' actions matter.
Mm-hmm. So some of the signs to look out for. So we want to look out for behavioral and emotional signs. So mood swings, like quick changes in mood, like being mad, being angry, burst outs, changes in eating habits. So they won't eat as much or they'll eat too much because, when you're stressed, you're always trying to find a way to like get rid of the stress or like to help yourself feel better. Increase irritability, so they'll be quicker to react to something, so they'll just snap out of nowhere. Withdrawal, so they will want to be in their rooms all the time because they don't have any time for themselves, so they just want to isolate themselves and withdraw themselves from everything they do, especially when it's a kid who's usually in sports or anything like that. They'll probably stop doing that because they just have so much stress that they just blank out and they can't do anything. Even changes in sleep patterns. They might have insomnia or they sleep too much, whichever, or they take more frequent naps now than before. And that's because, they're tired and their mind is constantly racing with thoughts, so they're stressed. So they'll have either no way to sleep or too much sleep, or in between. It just depends on every child because every child has different reactions to different stressors. I do have a quick disclaimer, and is that teenagers are going through changes already. Therefore, the symptoms are normal up to a certain extent. So, at this age, it's very easy and normal for kids to have mood swings. So you just gotta see how long it's going on for. So if it's going on for more than like 2 to 3 weeks, and that's when you start like noticing what is going on, because This is just all normal symptoms, but if it happens severely, then that's when it becomes a problem.
So, why are your kids so stressed out? Well, with the advance of social media and just how much they're expected to know, uh, okay,
It's
I'm
okay.
going to have to get that out a little bit better. Your kids are expected to do and know more than ever. I'll just start out right there, what it says in print. Teens reported symptoms during the past month was 74. Okay. Do you know that almost 3 out of 4 teens have reported having more than one symptom that causes stress? Among the most common ones were feelings of irritability or anger, nervousness or anxiousness, fatigue or feeling tired, lying awake at night, and headaches. Now, if you are experiencing any of these symptoms, would you be able to function at work? Well, the answer might be it would be very hard. So you can imagine how your kid feels at school. And we're going to hear straight from this horse's mouth about how kids feel when they're stressed out and how they best cope with anxiety. Okay. So, um, as you can see from the video, kids are processing a lot of information and are coping with stressors as best as they can. But it's so important that we listen to them and we help kids to mitigate their stress while they're young. Stop. There we go.
So some of the impacts of stress on children, like I mentioned earlier, health issues, mood swings, emotional challenges, but also it could lead to chronic stress. So chronic stress is when it becomes a stress that cannot be stopped. So when it's more than 2 to 3 weeks, like I mentioned earlier, that's when things become more serious. So it could also lead to poor academic performance because they can't do anything else anymore. Therefore, this is one of the biggest challenges that could lead to, which is a chronic stress, which is harder to cure than if we just prevent now. So, and I'm going to be speaking about how we could, as parents, we could be there for our children and help them cope with stress. So, one of the main keys is communication. So, like you always hear everywhere, communication is key, and it's definitely true. Communication is the way that we are able to express and hear each other and be there for each other. So, if you encourage your child to share their thoughts and feelings with you, always do it without judgment because it's hard enough to express yourself. Therefore, don't judge whenever they speak up because it could be hard enough to be able to express yourself. So a way that you could help your child get those words out and like see how they're feeling is by using iMessages. So iMessages is a little tool that guides you on to explain how and why you're feeling this way. So for example, it'll be like, I feel stressed when I have too much homework because I don't have enough time for everything. So that could be an example of how to use that. So you could give this tool to your child to help them and guide them figure out and understand how they're feeling. Because sometimes when you're so clouded with stress, you're not even able to understand what you're feeling. Also, by communicating, you also have to create a safe space again, with empathy, reassurance, no judgment, a judgment-free zone, in order for your child to feel understood and supported. Now, what also ties in hand in hand is active listening. So, some ways that you could help your child like feel like they're being heard is by active listening. So active listening is not just hearing your child, like hearing that there's sound coming out of their mouth, but actually listening to what they're saying. So let's say if they say, I'm stressed because of all my homework, you say, so you're stressed because of your homework. So you could paraphrase or repeat back to them what they're saying, so you make sure they make sure that they're being heard. Or even asking open-ended questions, like I hear you feeling stressed about school. Can you tell me more about what's been bothering you? So that's also a way to open up that question and let them even ramble on about what they're feeling, because you could pick out and see what they're feeling
Okay. I'll make sure that you that second part's very important, so I'll make sure not to skip this slide right away.
It's okay.
Okay. How can you help your child recognize and cope with stress? I think it's very important to make an analogy to a medical problem, because if your child hurt their leg playing soccer, you wouldn't tell them to just walk it off. A lot of times, it's an instinctive to say, if you're feeling bad, just perk up, feel better. But we all need help with stress, as we discussed earlier. Um, so this is slide 10 or 11, or is this 9?
Do you hear the noise?
Hold on. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Uh, okay. So just make sure that you let your child know. I'm not going to tell people what to let their child know. Let's start.
It's
I'm just
okay. Do you hear the
yeah.
background noise though?
Make sure
Julian.
that you give
Julian.
concrete explanations, and let and just be very specific about how to that about what could be causing the stress. Ask for information, and act accordingly. Um, Validate their experiences. Make sure they know it's not their fault. um, have frequent conversations with questions and answers. Don't just be Pollyanna, or think that one question and answer is going to be enough. Make sure it's a conversation. That's all I have to say. Make sure it's a conversation. Discuss self care and prevention. Um, and don't be afraid to talk about suicide. Now, this is a very heavy and difficult conversation to have, but the fact of the matter is, rates are alarmingly high right now, and the best way we can prevent self injury or harm is to have the conversation early, before it starts. And the worst thing that we can happen by preempting this conversation is to know it's not a real risk. And that's very important. Okay, so 5 tips for coping with stress. Um, you should make sure you get enough sleep. Be aware of what's causing your stress, or learn mindfulness. And that can just be a simple matter of focusing on what your strengths are, and not going through a downward spiral of everything negative. Make time for fun and quiet. We think of everything that we have to schedule, especially academically or at work, as tasks we have to do. But it's equally important to schedule recreational activities as well, and make sure you're giving yourself enough time to deal with all the stress that you have in life. Go outside and exercise. Being in a stale environment can be very redundant, and it can it can make you think as though there's no hope to getting over the stress or coping with the stress. And write it down or talk to somebody. Maybe you don't even know what is stressing you out until you write down some notes to help you understand what is the cause of your stress. So trick question for all the parents out there. Are you stressed? Of course you are. Everybody is. And you can see from this picture that um this poor mom on her computer is very stressed. And why? Because she loves her kids, but sometimes you feel trapped, overstimulated, and depleted. You are constantly stressed about what you have to do next, what you're behind on, and you are disappointing other people. Everyone seems to need something from you, so you feel guilty about saying no, or that you can't be everything to everybody. You're driven and ambitious. You are doing all the right things, but you are not finding happiness. What gives? And you are starting to get resentful of people who add to your to-do list, and people who seem to be loving life and having the perfect life. Nobody's life is an Instagram or social media reel that's all fun. It's just a projected image. So why would you put that kind of pressure on yourself? What are the biggest causes of stress and family? What is the biggest single cause of stress in family life at the moment? We can see between kid stuff and work and family, and just organizing your time, that takes well over 50% of the time of the pie chart. What if you can't cope with stress? Fortunately, if your stress feels too strong or happens too often, there are plenty of professionals that will help you or direct you to the right help or support, or just a professional voice to listen. SAMHSA has a free mental health helpline. There's a crisis text line. A lot of kids don't like to talk on the phone. They're used to texting to communicate information. That's perfectly fine for the situation. They can text the crisis text line, and there are always operators 24/7 to make sure they can text back. And always call 988, which is a suicide or crisis helpline. Finally, just to reiterate, New Jersey statewide student support services will help link students and family to invaluable student services and support. Those can include schools, virtual settings, faith based organizations, social service agencies, community based centers, libraries, and any more information you need. Please scan the QR code here. There are so many resources available, and you may find some new ones. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure speaking with you all about how to help your children mitigate stress in their lives. And if you have any other questions, please contact us here at Partners in Prevention, and we would be happy to get back to you.